Come on.
Preliminary.
How have you been?
I've been good. How about you?
Really good. Super busy, but very good. We're trying to learn all this new, technology for to get Twitch savvy and everything, or at least I am. My bandmates are more savvy than I am. Just waiting for it to start up.
Yeah, and I had to school myself this morning.
There we go. Here we are. I think we're on now. I just want to make sure that I can read everyone's comments. Yay! So how have you been?
I've been well, withstanding all of this, but doing well, like you.
It's crazy. I feel like I talked to you at the beginning of the pandemic about the grief that people were going through at the beginning of the pandemic, and now here we are, like 6 months later, and we're still all going through the same shit, which is crazy. So you're new to Twitch World. I'm new to Twitch World. We just got this Butcher Babies channel, and we're doing all kinds of really fun stuff. And everybody out there in Twitch land, today's going to be a really fun episode. I've got my friend Lori LaCicero here. So Lori and her partner created this awesome deck of cards called the Death Deck. And the Death Deck is basically a conversation starter for people to kind of ease into talking about some of the subjects that they don't have that easy of a time with. And of course, that's death. People have the hardest time talking about death and the ins and outs of it, death, dying, terminal illnesses, what happens to the body, what happens when you lose someone, how do you react, and what do you want for yourself in death? I mean, this deck of cards literally covers everything. It's one of the coolest tools I've ever seen to facilitate those conversations.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, we tried to cover all the bases. I'm sure there's some things that we left out, but I think we got enough in there to really start some really quality conversations. So,
and you can always have a death deck too come out in the future, right? You might need to have another one come out after the pandemic, because people have like a host of new thoughts and feelings going on, I'm sure. Hold on one second, and I'm gonna check this Twitch stream. So for my Twitch friends today that are watching, hold on, I just want to make sure that I can see everybody and respond to your comments and all. Hold on one second. I'm not seeing the comment stream here. Hold on one second. Let me send a text. One quick second.
Sure. And while you do that, I mean, it's interesting that you brought that up, because Lisa, the co-creator, and I not too long ago did a podcast with a hospice, and they were asking about that too, because there are some specific things that have come up during COVID, and being unable to see loved ones and having people die essentially alone. So you are on the money with the expansion pack.
I think that that's one of the hardest things that I've had to think about, is just I'm overwhelmed by grief that I feel for other people's grief when they're not able to see their loved ones, be a part of their lives during the hardest moment, when you kind of really need to be a part of that, even for closure for yourself. It's just the hardest thing, and I'm heartbroken for people. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry, I'm having a hard time. I want to be able to interact with people, and it is the comments aren't coming up just yet on here.
And I'm so glad you're handling that.
Yeah.
Being new to all of this, so you made it very easy.
Because I do want people to be able to participate with us today. So one quick second.
Certainly. And while you do that, why don't I talk a little bit about...
Yeah, please do. Tell them while I'm doing this, you do that.
Yeah, so here it is backwards. As you can see, it's a little card game, a little box. There's 112 cards. 80 of them are multiple choice, and 32 of them are open-ended. And the reason why we did the multiple choice option is because most of the other conversation starters out there that talk about death or deal with death are usually just open-ended questions. And we found that these questions in particular, leaving them all open-ended, makes it really uncomfortable and difficult sometimes for people to come up with answers on the spot. So we thought, you know what, let's let's infuse this with a little humor, and let's also give people the option to sort of, if they haven't thought about something, that they can line up to an A, B, or C answer. Nothing set in stone. Little pun intended there, but you can line up to which one you might feel like you are most aligned to, and then always change your answer after that. But at least it gives you a starting point to go, yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but B is
And I
probably
think
where
you
I'd
hit
be.
it on the head when you said you add a little humor, and adding humor to a situation, no matter what it is in life, I think kind of lightens the mood surrounding it. I mean, death is always going to be this awful thing, but it happens to us all. And if we can get comfortable with it by infusing a little humor into it and talking about it openly, then that will help us a ton. So I'm finally got this all figured out. So I can see your guys' comments. So sorry about that. So yeah, so before we start playing the game, let's talk about Eddie Van Halen. I think everyone was heartbroken today about that loss. I was just my boyfriend texted me from downstairs, and he's gutted because he's such a huge fan. Henry, our guitar player, is a huge fan of Eddie Van Halen. Almost everyone in our industry is hugely affected by this, and so all day long on social media I've seen you just post after post after post. And what do you think about social media and celebrity death nowadays? It's kind of a different world than it was, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. When someone passes, of course you hear it maybe on the news. I remember when Kurt Cobain died, they had a special announcement. They were going to announce later on in the day that someone had died, so you had to wait all these hours to find out what had happened. And nowadays it's like wildfire. It happens so quickly, and everybody kind of mourns together. You do see some of the posts like, shut up already, we get it, you liked this celebrity. And I think that's so so terrible to see those kind of comments. I think that social media is an awesome place for us to grieve our heroes together. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think you nailed it with saying, mourning together, because sometimes we don't have a lot of death surrounding us.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can be younger, whatever age, but to sort of have this attachment to a celebrity, someone that we admire and love, even though we might not know them personally, to be able to sort of to feel those feelings and to sort of process, a life well lived and what it looks like when they pass away. So I think that being able to do that is it's sad and it's hard, but I think it's also a great step in the healing process.
Yeah, I think talking about it is one of the number one things that people need to do after a loss. So I feel like social media has kind of helped to facilitate the conversation, when someone dies. So if it starts with celebrities and then we can take it to, people in our own lives, I think that's awesome. So you guys, today, speaking of loss and all that, I want to have you guys interact, and I want to hear your stories too when we start doing the cards. And the more subscribes you do during this session, the more chances you have to win a special little gift from me. I've got some of my notes from Mortuary College, and I am going to send them to two of you that have the most subscribes for this little session that we're doing right now. And if you are a Twitch subscriber to our channel, you'll be able to interact with us here and share your stories today. This is something that I want to do every Tuesday with you guys, a little open space for us to talk about death and dying and all the things that you're afraid to ask and afraid to, even talk to your friends about or your family about sometimes. So it's a safe place for all of us. So subscribe, and let's make it an awesome Tuesday event for us every week. So again, I'm talking to Lori, who created the death deck. Do you want to start pulling some cards?
Sure.
So you guys, if you're a Twitch subscriber, feel free to chime in and give us your answers too. And I'll read some of your from your answers too. And I'm reading all of your Van Halen responses, and yeah, it's everyone is so gutted by this. It's so terrible. We all love Eddie.
Yeah.
2020 needs to stop is what everyone is saying, and that's absolutely true. Hi guys.
All right, so I'm going to start us off with an open-ended question. It is a pretty basic one. We'll start easy, but it's the question is called time of death. And if you could find out the exact way, day, and time of your death, but could do nothing to stop it, would you want to know?
Jeez. What do you think? What's your read on me for this one? And if you guys are listening, feel free to answer too. If you could know your time of death, would you want to know that? Or would you not want to know?
I would want to know.
Really? Now, what are your
Definitely.
reasons for
Yeah.
wanting to know?
So I would want to know because it gives a sense of a timeline of what I have left here and what I can still do. So if I don't know, it's like having a deadline for anything. You know, if you can keep pushing it off, or if you don't know when something is due, then it just kind of gets muddled and then
Yeah.
you might not get to it. But if I know, okay, 20 years from now on Tuesday, October 5th, that's it. Then I know, I have 20 years, and what am I going to do with these 20 years? How am I going to make the most of every moment that I have left? So I would want to know.
That's a good way to look at it, but I think I'm going to go with the opposite question. And I see a lot of people are also answering. Aaron the Butcher says, I don't like surprises. I think I'd want to know. And then no, laugh out loud, don't want to know. So most people, it seems like they would not want to know. And I'm going to have to go with I don't want to know, because I think that for me, my anxiety would kick in and I'd be jumping over cracks in the sidewalk. I think that I would constantly be thinking about that moment and how I could overcome it. Even though I knew I couldn't change it, I would be thinking about it way too much. So I definitely would not want to know.
Right. Unless it's tomorrow, then I'd want to know. But other than that,
yeah, most people, like Wayne the Butcher says, I wouldn't want to know because I already have enough stress and anxiety. Nope. Someone said, I'm a day-to-day type of person. I like to enjoy the moment, so I wouldn't want to know. And yeah, I agree. Thanks for sharing, you guys. Subscribers, share your thoughts on some of these questions. This is really fun. All right, next question.
All right, next question is a multiple choice. So, if you had to choose one of these classic gruesome movie deaths,
Ooh.
which would it be? So A, Hitchcock's Psycho style, in the shower by knife stabbing. B, Jaws style, chewed up by a badass great white shark. Or C, Raiders of the Lost Ark style, face melted off by a holy ghost.
Ooh. Oh. That's a hard choice right there. What do you guys think out there?
And this is one of the ones I pulled because in talking about death and playing the game, and we're getting close to Halloween, I mean, there are cards in the deck that are like this, that are a little more playful, that that aren't something that's going to happen, but it's something to just sort of start conversation with. So this is one of the
someone said all of those are a hard pass. You got to choose one, Aaron.
You got to pick one. All right,
everyone's saying C so far.
Now
what would you go for?
Oh, I'm Jaws.
Yeah, I am too. So we're
badass shark.
So tell me why you would pick a shark.
Oh, because I love the ocean. So I know if it happened, I'd be out there doing something I love to do. So that's where I would want to be. I wouldn't want it to happen in the shower. Face melted off does not sound like the way I would want to go, although it would be pretty quick, I'm sure. But depending upon the shark, it might not be so quick. But that's how about you? Why would you pick Jaws?
I think I would go Jaws style because it is my boyfriend's favorite movie. So might as well give him one last thrill before I go. Just kidding. No, I feel like that would be less painful in a way. Well, probably not, but the face melted off, I don't know. I have a attachment to my face, I think. But I do like the adventure kind of feel of the Jaws death. I just feel like it's very like, yes, I'm going out with a bang type of thing. So
I'm with you.
So let's see what other people are picking. So actually, yeah, Jaws. Someone says Matthew Ryan says he has the Jaws theme in his head right now. So yeah. That's what I said. I picture it like a very, like, probably because I've seen the movie so many times, but I picture it, a very, good death that way.
Bad ending. It's a bad ending to a leisurely swim, right?
Oh, and someone said they actually got stabbed before, so they're like, no, I'm going with the shark. So that's
No?
that's good to know. Getting eaten by a shark is better than getting stabbed. I'm sorry you got stabbed.
Yeah.
I got to know more about that story another time. So again, you guys, we are playing the Death Deck with Laura Lasistero, one of the creators. It's this awesome deck of cards that is just kind of facilitates open conversations about death, and we get together and drink some wine and play it. It's a great gift. It's great for parties, especially Halloween parties. I know a lot of us aren't going to go trick-or-treating this year. So I think the Death Deck is absolutely perfect to buy for one of your Halloween parties.
Yeah,
Where can you
it's
get it at?
thedeathdeck.com. We have a website, and it's also available on Amazon. So pretty easy
Awesome.
to find and get. Yeah. So
It's okay. So let's do another. I'm still laughing at your guys' comments. So someone said the face melting will probably be the quickest, least painful, but I don't agree with that. I don't know, guys. All right, you guys keep subscribing to get those questions in and to get a chance to win some of my notes from mortuary school. All right, let's go for the next one.
okay. So, all right. You find your absolute dream home, but learn the previous owner was brutally murdered inside. Still interested? A, sure, assuming they've done a spectacular cleanup job. B, maybe, depends on where it happened. Or C, no way. Once a murder house, always a murder house.
What are your thoughts on that? I think you're an A.
You think I'm a sure as long as they've cleaned it up real well?
Yeah,
You know, I am a B. I'm a
really.
maybe. I am a maybe. Yeah, it depends because I think that I could probably find another dream home pretty close, but I don't think I could ever get that little thought out of my head late at night that's like, oh, something happened here, something happened here. So it all depends, but I'm on that maybe. I'm on the fence on that one. How about you?
Well, I'm an A if the house has a turret. Do you guys know what a turret is? A turret is one of these little, I've always wanted one my whole life. It's like the little tower bedroom that's round and it has like beautiful windows all the way around. So that's my dream home to have one of those. So if I found that, but someone had been murdered up there, I'd have to just take the house anyways. I get the sage out. I had a roommate once that when she moved into my house, she took sage everywhere. I was like, what the hell are you doing? There's no ghosts here. But to tell you the truth, I haven't had any bad encounters with evil spirits yet. And so I think that I would probably be okay with it. What about you guys out there? Someone said, because it's metal as fuck. Well, yeah, true. Someone said, what are the odds of two murders happening in the same house?
Oh,
Have you watched any movies, dude? Like the odds are pretty high if you're watching watching any TV shows or movies. There's always like 10 murders in the same house. But
but that's an
again,
interesting point because I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it more the ghost of the person
yeah. No, I
murdered
thought of it
than
that way as
actually
well.
someone else being murdered. But that's a good way to look at it. The odds
Yeah.
would be very slim. So good point.
Some hungry tortoise says, yes, the castle tower thing. Yes, castle tower things are amazing. That's my dream one day. So I'm getting a lot of yeses here. I don't know about this crowd here.
Yeah.
They seem to
So
like the idea of hauntings. So
yeah, could be
all
kind of fun during
right.
Halloween, you know? Get,
Yeah.
get
Okay.
your
Let's
Ouija board out. See
I
if you
do
can.
like the questions that you've picked out. So some of the questions in the death deck are very real life situations, and some of them are more fun. And we're doing kind of the more fun Halloweeny ones today. So far, anyways, I don't know what else you have in store for me.
Oh, I'm just pulling them off my desk here. So this one seems a little less Halloweeny, but still on the same plane. So let's see. Let's go with this one. So timing wise, what would be the best way to die? So A, instantly without warning or pain. B, within 3 months of a diagnosis, uncomfortable but be able to do a few last things. Or C, after a year of terminal illness in pain, but time for my family and me to prepare. So what would be the best way? Instantly, within 3 months, or after a year with those
That's a really,
caveats?
really hard question for me to answer. I'm going to refer to some of my friends here on Twitch. What do you guys think about that last one? It's It's a hard one. I think they're all stumped too because they're not the other ones. There was easy replies. This one's a little bit different. I don't what about you? Now your husband had a terminal illness, so you've actually have real life experience with this.
Yeah. So, and it was about a year long. He didn't have the choice, obviously, but it was about a year and he was in a lot of pain. So, I think if he had the choice, that would have been his choice. I think that he would have wanted to endure the pain and be here with his families. We had young kids at the time, but I think that he would have wanted to be here for as long as possible. For me, I would probably go with more of the 3 months and be able to really, experience that last 3 months without the pain, be a little uncomfortable, but be able to sort of wrap things up and say my
Yeah.
goodbyes. So that would be my
Something that
answer.
you said about your husband made me change my mind just now. He said he would have wanted to endure the pain. And I think that I'm the same way. I think that I'm getting choked up. This is a hard question for me, but I think that in order to tie up loose ends and have everyone that I know that I love them and that I'll always be there for them in some way if they need me, which I do believe. I believe people's energy and spirit lives on, and it's there for you when you need it. I would want a year to prepare, not necessarily myself, but those around me, because when you're gone, you're gone, but the people around you are left in a different state, and I think that it would be very hard to leave them all of a sudden and not know that they were taken care of and they were going to be okay. Let's see what someone said. Hungry Tortoise said, you don't wait for the last minute to get those things said and done. And no, you shouldn't wait for the last minute to get those things said and done, but unfortunately a lot of people do, which is one thing that I like to kind of preach this death positive attitude for, is because I want people to understand that yes, we are all going to pass. It's not a fun thing to think about, but with that said, do what you want to do with your life. Be happy. Make sure that your loose ends are tied up. Know what you want for yourself and for your family after you go. And again, live life to the fullest, and always make sure people know how loved that they are in your life.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do here with this deck, with whether you're playing with friends, if you're playing with family, if you're playing with a parent, your loved one, or even with yourself, just pulling these cards and thinking about it. I mean,
Yeah.
once you start talking about it and you're thinking about it, like, well, gosh, what if that did happen? And especially now in the time of COVID, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's more top of mind, unfortunately, because we are all, out there, and it could happen to someone we love or to ourselves. So to start thinking about, okay, well, let's say something did happen, like how prepared am I, and have I told that person how I feel about them? So why not now? You're right.
So, Lori, I have a question for you. After your husband died, and I'm assuming that I know you kind of tied up loose ends as he was, when he got diagnosed. But did you make sure that everything in your life, for your children, for yourself, was tied up, was done with after he passed, like all your personal affairs, which is something I always tell people, even young people, your living will, all that kind of stuff? Did you make sure that all that was put together?
Oh yeah, I am so prepared. I'm probably over
Yeah.
prepared in a way.
Yeah.
But the reason that I created this deck was because we weren't.
Yeah.
And I thought with my late husband that we were prepared. We thought we were prepared. We had wills, we had advanced directives, we had life insurance, but what we didn't have were conversations. We didn't
Yeah.
have the detailed conversations that these cards bring up, that these cards inspire. We had the basic format legal eagle paperwork, which was great because I knew that I was the one calling the shots once he was unable to speak
Yeah.
for himself. But what those details were of how he would have wanted that to unfold. I mean, I knew him extremely well, so I
Yeah.
made what I feel like were wonderful choices. But I still question things like
Yeah.
we didn't talk about that. Oh, we didn't talk about that. Oh, well, come to think of it, we didn't really talk about that. So that's why I created the game so that other people wouldn't be stuck in that same position, because we really did
Awesome.
not talk about it until it was too late. So
I love it. And again, you guys can get the Death Deck on Amazon. And where else? That you have a website, deathdeck.com.
thedeathdeck.com tells a little bit more about us. There's a blog there as well, and you can pick up your deck there. So,
And Lori is fascinating. So you guys really should read up on her and her story. I just love her to death. She's awesome.
oh,
All
well,
right, you
I
guys.
feel the same about you.
Oh, thank you. You guys keep subscribing for your chance to win those mortuary college notes. And I love all your comments coming through.
Now,
They're
do you
awesome.
on your notes, do you have little doodles?
I
Because I
do.
just, okay, which I think is an extra.
I doodle all the time. I like in some of the it's funny, some of the things that I doodled on my mortuary notes back then. It's like, what the hell was I doing?
I
Drawing,
would be so
drawing
curious
boobs.
to see them. I
Drawing,
know, right?
I drew a lot of little skulls on them and stuff like that, but also boobs. And I had a boyfriend at the time named Donnie Stiff. And I thought that would be really cool to have him be an embalmer with the last name Stiff. And so
Is
I
that
would write
seriously his name?
Carlos Stiff. That was his name. Yeah.
Oh.
So funny. So there's like that. I see Carlos Stiff written on someone's skeletons and everything. He's married and has kids and everything now. So, but it was just cute to like look back to 15 years and see those little doodles. It's so funny.
Right. No
I think it
offense,
would
Donnie.
still be a cool name for
It would have been.
for an embalmer.
Yes.
And yes, that deck is a great idea to learn things about each other. So I totally advise you guys to go pick some up. Okay, so let's do another. I'm reading all these comments. They're so awesome. And yes, there are ways to volunteer, you guys, and I will go not necessarily for my grief counseling program, but there's hospice and everything. I got really into grief counseling because of my experience working for hospice. So that's a great thing to do if any of you guys are interested. I know you can't see the comments, Lori, but some people are asking about how to volunteer and do this stuff. So
yeah,
right.
hospice volunteering is something that I think a lot of people think, is like there's no way I could ever do that or would want to do that. But then once you do, it's like, wow, it's such an incredible experience.
Yeah. So let's get another card.
Okay. Let's go with malicious intentions.
Ooh.
I knew you'd like this one. So if you could haunt one of your enemies after your death, who would you target? How would you do it? And why? And maybe you could just use initials here. but if you could haunt someone, who would you target? How would you do it? And why?
Do you have an enemy that you'd like to haunt?
Oh, I have no enemies. No, I have a couple of people that, a couple of people throughout my life that really made it difficult for me, that I could see, maybe not maliciously haunting, but kind of poking.
Just scare him. Like I like the image of the ghost like shaking the can, of like coins in someone's face.
Just a little bit here and there. Yeah. So, and knowing, and maybe whatever they did to really annoy me is what I would then turn on them to really annoy them, just to like,
gosh, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that I have anyone that I would want to waste my afterlife haunting. I think that I would rather take that ghostly energy and visit people that I love. Like I'll tell a little ghost story that happened to me. We had a friend that died on a motorcycle, and he had fixed my car a couple times. I had a sticky door handle. I have a Corvette and an old Corvette, and the handle you press down, and it was really tricky. He fixed it for me twice, and the day after he died, it worked fine for a long time. The day after he died, the handle stopped working again. And then later that afternoon by itself, it started working again. And I felt strongly that was a message, just one last like little message to me, because he was a good friend. So I think that if I was a ghost, I would probably, go around and do little cute things like that, but I wouldn't waste that energy. I feel like it would take so much energy to do something evil to someone, but I'm sure there's somebody too that I could think of. But
fair There's some politicians we might want to poke a little, but we won't
Maybe.
get into that.
So what I'm trying to see
And
if
we got,
anyone has any.
yeah.
What about you guys? Someone said Edward Norton. What the hell did Edward Norton do, you
Oh, come
guys?
on. What are you doing to Eddie? Come on.
So yeah, it sounds like most people feel like me. They don't nope. Oh, I've got the most enemy-less crowd here going.
I love that.
They're all saying they don't have enemies, which is awesome, which is great.
That's a
So
lot
I
of hope
feel like
in
people waste a
humanity
lot
right
of time
there. Yeah.
hating people and everything.
Yeah. No,
Someone said I would lock my enemy in the bathroom after taking a dump. That's that's lovely. Sorry, I got a phone call on this
that's
phone. I'm using
cruel.
my
Let's cruel light. Let's call it.
that's very cool. So, all right. Well, these are good answers, you guys. Most of you have very little malice. I love it.
Awesome. All right, let's go for another card. All right. If a drug were created to provide immortality, would you take it? A, totally. Who wouldn't want to live forever? B, nope. One lifetime is plenty. Or C, maybe if I could lock in my hottest age.
C. Without a fucking doubt. C.
I probably could have
100%.
guessed that one for you.
Yeah, 100%. I would happily float through life. Like if I could be assured that I would be the same age forever. And I mean, but then there would be that weird, like, what if the world ended and you're like, those apocalyptic movies and you're the last person there and you're like, I just can't die now. This sucks. I'm here by myself forever. But maybe there'd be some other asshole that had made the same, pact, and and then we'd live forever together. So
Right.
I'm still going to selfishly choose C.
And they'd be hot because they've locked in their hottest age. So,
You're right. You're right. So this is going to work out just fine. C for sure. What about you?
Yes. Yeah. Well, on that note, before I go to mine, I think what comes up the most with this is the first impression people do is they say, yes, I would love to live forever. And then sort of the afterthought is, well, but wait, what about all the people around me? What about all my loved ones? They're going to all come and go. So that's, the kind of the flip side of that coin is like, well, is that something that I would want to be a part of, is to know that everyone that I ever know will grow and die and I will be in this same age. So
I'm still good with C. I'm good.
I love that.
I've no, that would be really sad. And to watch your children growing older or something and you stay the same age. And that would be a trip. What do you guys think?
Well, I think
Someone said
both.
it's not just the loved ones, it's watching everything you understand change around you, which is very interesting. But for me, that would be kind of cool. You'd be like a great historian. You would know everything and you would learn how to adapt over time to different situations. And I think about my great grandma. She lived to be 105 years old.
Wow.
So she was born in 1905. She saw like the world change so many different times. I mean, how awesome would that be?
It would be fascinating, I think, too.
People are bringing up the Highlander. They're no Highlander for me. So you guys, thanks so much for responding and everything. I love reading your answers. It's awesome. So cool. Your answers are great. And again, subscribers, you have the chance to win my mortuary science notes. So the next card.
Excellent. Oh, and for me, I didn't answer mine.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was reading everyone's things. Please tell me. I was so excited about C and just living forever. I already planned out my whole.
Well, what do you think I would be? Because that's part of the game too, is that I'll just interject here, is that you can play it any different which way you want. You can, selectively choose cards like we're doing today. You can just play the open-ended ones. You can just play the multiple choice ones. And you can score. You can team up and then try to guess each other's answers. So if I guessed Carla's, I'd get a point. If she guessed mine, we'd get a point. And then for, competitive people, they could play it that way. So
that's a good idea. I never thought about the point system.
Yes.
I don't think you want to live forever.
So one lifetime is plenty for me?
Yeah.
Point. Good girl. Yeah, and I think that leads to a lot of really interesting conversations when we played this to like, well, why? Like, what do you think comes next? And then that kind of spins,
Yeah,
conversations and beliefs about the afterlife, about
that's true.
reincarnation and things like that. So for
See,
me, that
I didn't even think about that. Like my answer is very different than maybe yours because of my belief system. I don't believe that we go. This is again, whenever I say stuff like this on a public forum, I like to stress that I was an embalmer as a funeral director, and I attended many thanatology classes, and I have done many different types of funerals, and whatever people believe in is a-okay with me. I totally respect everyone's opinion on the afterlife and thoughts. And I've always been an atheist since I was a little girl. That's just how I am. I do believe that there's energy in some way, but I don't know how I feel that way. But I don't believe in an afterlife where we all go to heaven. So if someone does believe in afterlife, then hell no, they wouldn't want to live forever here because they're going to a better place in their eyes already. So that's interesting. Now that's what's so interesting about this game, as you were saying, because it lends itself to even more deep conversations. So
Yeah, and I've played it many times, as you might imagine, and
yeah,
almost every time I play, I learn something new. I hear someone saying something, I look at it a different way. I think one of the comments even today, there it is. It's like I hadn't looked at it that way. That's really
yeah,
interesting. So it's fascinating. It's a fascinating topic that again, it's taboo. We don't talk about death a little bit during Halloween, but
yeah.
we should be talking about it more and making ourselves more comfortable with it because A, it's fascinating, and B, the more prepared you are, I think the more peaceful that ending can be. So
And I think that's it. It's, what is a good death? And I think a good death is just peaceful and coming to terms with the fact that, yes, we are going to go, but the things that I've done in my life have made it okay for me to say goodbye now. I've done some great things. I'm happy. I feel that being happy and, having done reached some of your life goals is the key to having a good death and not having regret.
yeah, and
So
being able to be in those final moments, surrounded by maybe how you've orchestrated it with, smells and music and, people, and being able to, not be in sort of this
yeah,
panicked, chaos freak out moment, just
let's talk about that for a second because it's very interesting. You mentioned smells and different things. A lot of your senses are very heightened as you die, and people don't think about little details like that. Like how when say you do have a terminal illness and you know that you're going to pass, and you know that you're going to have these final moments. You are more than welcome to dictate. And as a death doula, this is something that I can help people with what you want those last moments to be like, who you want in the room with you, what kind of smells that you want to smell. Like I love the smell of lavender. And one thing that would make it very peaceful for me is to have the smell of lavender everywhere. What kind of music do you want playing in the background? Little things like that to help your transition be as peaceful as possible. And if you guys are a caretaker for someone who's terminally ill, or you love someone who's terminally ill, have those conversations because it's very important, and it creates a sense of calm around a situation for everybody, I think.
yeah, it's so important. And it's something that I think we typically don't think about.
Yeah,
And, some people want it to be quiet and some people want to listen to podcasts. It
yeah.
depends. And sometimes you just don't know. I mean,
I
why are
just
you
had a
laughing at
vision.
that?
No,
And what
because I had a
podcast were you
vision.
thinking about?
I had a vision. If my mom is watching right now, she'll laugh, and if my bandmates are watching, they'll laugh. But I just had a vision of dying, being on my deathbed, having the smells, and then having my stepdad come in with his motor mouth. I love my stepdad to death, but he's got a motor mouth. And he never shuts up. And I can just imagine being like, "Shut up! I'm trying to die here peacefully." So it just made me laugh. But let me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
there's
guys are sharing some beautiful things with each other. Whenever I look over to the comments, everyone is sharing their stories about, the things that they've been through. And it's really beautiful to see the interaction between you guys. So keep it up. And again, if you like this hour, so, have your friends subscribe or give some subscriptions. And not only can you win those mortuary science notes, but we're just creating this community where we can do this every week and have fun and share things that we, can't share with everybody else. So
And
shall we poll? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, and I'm gonna shamelessly plug and pick up a
Please
death
do.
deck because that'll
Yeah.
help you to prompt these questions. And
Well,
that's
I
another
wanted you
reason.
to come on now because I want people to be able to order the death deck in time for their Halloween parties, because it's definitely, again, we're in this crazy pandemic still, and we're not gonna be able to have these big, get-togethers, but play the death deck at home for Halloween with your friends and family. It's such a fun game. I can see you guys are having fun, aren't you? So I love this.
Yep.
Shall we
And
pull another? And again, you can get the death deck on Amazon or at thedeathdeck.com.
yeah, and Amazon, I think a little faster shipping these days with the USPS stuff going on.
Yeah,
So
for sure. For
somehow
sure.
Amazon makes it happen. So definitely check it out there. So, oh, and before we go on, I was going to say one thing because you mentioned being a death doula.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say to people who might not know what that is. I don't know if you've talked about that before, but I
We
didn't
talked a
know.
little bit about it, but please
Okay,
elaborate.
yeah, no, because I didn't know that existed when my husband Joe was in hospice. So luckily, the hospice social worker Lisa, who came in, sort of took on that role where she was the one, and she's the co-creator of the death deck, so she was the one that kind of took on that shepherding role of explaining what was happening and helping me to sort of set the scene and the environment, like all those things we were talking about. She as much as she could, because she was only there a limited amount of time. But I mean, if I had known there was death doulas out there, that of course, yes. I mean, how valuable would that have been? I mean, that is just such a great thing. And I had a birth doula. I don't know why I didn't think of that
Yeah.
time to
Well,
have a death doula. So
we talked a little bit before in on this session that birth and death are the two most stressful times of your life internally. And there's a doula present when you're born, and now death doulas are emerging even more and more. It's actually been something that's been around for a while, but again, people don't know exactly what a death doula does. And we can comfort you, comfort your family, and work with you to create legacy projects. If there's something that you want to finish before you die that you're having a hard time finishing, a doula can help you get that done. A doula can just sit there and hold your hand, which I find is one of the most important things. When I worked in hospice, I basically did what I do as a death doula, and that's how I became interested in it. And sometimes I would just go to a nursing home and sit with someone and hold their hand or stroke their hair or whatever it was that made them feel better in the moment. And those little acts of human kindness, just touching someone and making them feel loved and safe, that is a huge part of what we do, and it's so important, and not everybody has that nowadays. So it's a really important thing. And hopefully I'll still be able to get it out to more people and keep doing it.
yeah, and even in all situations, whether there's a lot of family around to hold the hand or if there's no one around, I think it's just as important, because you're somebody there who doesn't have necessarily the history or the personal attachment, and you
Exactly.
as a death doula come in this such calming presence of helping the dying person to to feel that. And I think that they do feel the stress and the chaos and the grief that's already starting to stir. So to have a death doula there, not only for the person who's dying but
Mhm.
also the community around them, is just golden. So
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
for what you do and all the death doulas out there.
Yeah. Well, I
Wonderful.
love it. I feel that I was called to it. So if anyone else out there feels called to it, I highly recommend. We talked a little bit about volunteering earlier. Just volunteer for your local hospice. Right now, things are a little bit crazy with COVID, and so you probably won't be able to get a volunteer position in most places right now because of the health guidelines. And I'm not sure when things will change, but in the future, if you feel called to this, I would definitely recommend spending some time in hospice as a volunteer before you make a decision on a career change. But all right, shall we do another card?
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, sort of on that note, um, here's a question. Would you consider going old school and have a funeral in your home? A, nope. There's a reason that funeral homes were invented. B, yes, if the service involves an urn. No, if there's a coffin. And C, totally. Sounds like a warmer, more personal goodbye.
Okay. I think that you are a C. I don't know. Maybe not. You're hesitating.
Uh, yeah, I'm not a coffin person. So
Really?
I would say, yeah, I'm not. And I don't know. But so I would be a yes if, the service involves an urn, but not a coffin. I am one of those ones not. I'm a little uncomfortable about the open caskets and the body there. I feel like once death has happened, whatever that energy soul has left the body, and I just I don't have that attachment or that feeling that I
Yeah.
have to say that goodbye to that what's left behind. Um,
Interesting.
so you're
Interesting.
wrong, but
Sorry.
it's okay. You just don't
I'm
get
a
a point.
C.
I was just gonna say. So
Yeah.
yes,
I
I
had a
think that
coffin
you
in my
would be.
house before. I might as well just get in it and
I know. I
funeral.
saw, I saw
Yeah.
that.
So much like you, I do, and when I embalmed bodies, I saw it, especially there's no energy left in the body. It is a shell, but I do think there's something very special about the shell. We lived our whole lives in this shell. It got us through everything. And I feel like it's very important. And I think it's super important for people to say goodbye to this shell as they know us, even if the energy is not in the shell anymore. And I think home funerals are amazing. And I think that we should go back to that. In the past, people died in the home, they had funerals in the home, and death was more accepted because it happened all the time. Grandma and grandpa lived with you, they died, you had the funeral in the front parlor, and it was just normal. Now that sense of normalcy has been taken away, and people die in hospitals, and you don't see the body, and it's frightening. And then they're pumped full of chemicals in funeral homes, and it's just I think that just having a nice funeral in the home would be a beautiful thing. And I do love coffins. I have to say, I love the presentation. Ever since I was a kid, I think I was the kind of person that dreamed about how my funeral would look more so than a wedding. I never really cared about stuff like weddings. I cared about funerals and like what I'd be dressed like, how my hair would be done, my makeup, and my coffin. I think that's a very interesting thing. In fact, when during the recent George Floyd funeral stuff, they brought his casket out, and I said, "Oh my God, he got the Prometheus. He's in the Prometheus." And my boyfriend looked at me like, "What?" But the Prometheus was this casket that you only hear about you don't ever get to see one in person when you work at a funeral home. It's the most high-end casket that you can get, and he was buried in one. I was just like, oh my gosh, the Prometheus in the flesh there. But yeah, but back to the original. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Casket in my house, I'm all good with it. What about you guys?
And I think it's interesting to point out so that the casket is the more rectangular traditional version, and the coffin is sort of the Halloween.
Yes. People don't know that there is a difference between a coffin and a casket. So a casket is what you would see at a funeral. And a coffin is like that. Again, she said the funny shaped Halloween one. The old
And
school. They're very old school. I love them too. I'm looking at everyone else's this answers. A lot of people want to be cremated.
yeah.
Someone's talking about green funerals. Yes, I love the idea of green funerals. You get buried in a pod, and which is great. And someone's bringing up Jewish funerals, which I worked in a Jewish funeral home for a very short time, and I love Jewish funerals. I think that they're so pure and so beautiful. A lot of them you're just wrapped in a sheet, and it's so clean, and very, very green.
And there's a lot of green options out there that people might not know about that are interesting. And what I think with having these conversations too is that, you know, if you don't know about them, you might go, oh, you know what? I would love to be, you know, buried with a seed and become a tree in the
Yeah,
forest. And
I
if you
think
don't,
that's so beautiful.
yeah, but if you don't talk about it and you haven't written it down or had a conversation with a loved one, they don't know. They're
No,
gonna
they
kind of
don't. And
second guess. So
yeah, and people are going to choose what they want for you. You know, if you're if they want a very typical funeral and then you're going to be buried in a cemetery and you know, maybe you don't want that. It's really important to say, "Hey, I don't want that. This is what I would like." And it also, you may think that it bothers your family to talk about it, but it actually makes their decision making a lot easier. People want to know these things. So there's a couple people that want to be shot into the sky, fireworks. I love that. But a lot of C's for that answer. Again, you guys keep subscribing to win some prizes and go get the Death Deck at thedeathdeck.com. It's awesome. It's a great little holiday, Halloween, or even Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving would be a great time to play it. Oh, there it is. I love the little skeleton on it too. It's so cute.
ain't it cute?
But you guys should definitely grab a deck and play with your friends and families. I want to play this at one of the Butcher Babies after parties one time. Okay, I
Yeah.
think we've got time for one more before Zoom kicks us off this
Okay.
meeting.
Let's see. Okay, well, we'll continue on that sort of note with this one, because this one's really interesting. So, a loved one suggests jewelry be made containing their cremated remains. Would you wear it? A, sure, I'd love to wear my loved one. B, I'd gladly accept it and then tuck it safely into a drawer. Or C, no, yuck. Our memories are treasure enough for me. So we'll try to
Okay.
guess each other's answers on this one.
What
So,
do you guys want out there? Answer for me. And what do you think I am?
you're a sure. You would love to wear your loved one.
Hmm.
What about me?
Definitely. I think that you would too. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a beautiful ring maker. I'll have to find her on and post it on my Good Grief page. One of my friends recently got her dog's ashes put into this gorgeous ring. Such a beautiful ring. I would definitely do that. I think it's an awesome tribute to somebody. I would rather have a beautiful piece of jewelry that's on my finger or around my neck than have someone's urn sitting next to me. Although I do have every pet I've ever owned is literally sitting in this glass case behind me. I love to keep stuff like that close to me for sure.
Well, and you still can. I mean, you can always
Yeah.
take those ashes. There's like lots of different versions of that that I never knew about. I mean, I would always think, okay, you see the ashes in some sort of little piece of jewelry, but you know, you can incorporate that into, like, if you have a silver ring, they can put a little bit of the ashes in, and you know, but no one else
You
really
know,
knows that it's
exactly.
ashes. There's also a
Exactly.
company that makes diamonds actually out of the
Hmm.
ash, like a physical diamond, and you can wear. And so there's a lot of different options out there with jewelry. I even heard of one that they would take, if it was a custom made coffin, they would take the wood, like a piece of wood from it. I don't know how they do that, but then they would make a ring out of the wood from the coffin. So if you weren't
Oh
actually
wow.
using an ash, you could also use that as an option, as sort of something that would be part of their legacy, or what was left behind. So
Interesting. I love
yeah.
all those choices. Let's see um, what everyone else thinks. People have said rings, yes. Someone has a necklace. Dee Dee Renee has a necklace with her chihuahua's ashes in it that she wears. That's awesome. So everyone actually is pretty strange. Strange Animal says that's how you get ghosts. Pass. I assure you, the ashes are pretty clean. No ghosts in those ashes. So
But
yes,
listen,
most
if
people
I could
are.
encourage a spirit to come back that way, then by all means.
Yeah, I would be. I'm definitely the type to bury someone in a pet cemetery or get them back any way that I could. Someone said, "Bury me any way you like, as long as there's an Irish wake after." That sounds like a lot of drinking involved.
Indeed.
So, someone said the funeral is for. Hold on one second. I lost the comment. I'm trying to see who wrote it because I thought it was an interesting comment. Someone said the funeral is for the living. Hungry Tortoise. Again, Hungry Tortoise gets the win for the great
I
comments today.
love. Love
The
hungry
funeral is
tortoise.
for the living. I wouldn't tell them how to grieve. And I agree with that somewhat. The funeral is for the living, but I do think that the living should respect the dead's wishes for sure. I think that funerals are extremely important because people do need um, a memorial of some type to begin that grieving process. I really feel strongly about that. But I do think it's important to show respect to the person that died by giving them their last wish. And that back to that question about haunting someone, if people don't throw me the funeral that I want, I will come back and haunt them. I will be so mad because I've been dreaming of this since I was a little girl.
You better have that written down then somewhere.
Yeah, unless I get that option C, then we don't have to worry about it. That last from that thing.
Yeah, but
So
that
you
was
guys,
that was a really interesting point because, and it could be a celebration of life too, not necessarily
mhm,
a funeral. And it doesn't have to be so specific that, it has to be followed word for word, except maybe for yours.
mine
But,
would.
but
No.
I think it gives such a great comfort to the living to know, oh, Lori wanted this to be done at the beach.
Yeah,
And the fact that you're at the beach can be done a number of different ways, but it's like, oh, well, we're doing what she wanted to do. And that feels good to me. So,
I love that. So once again, you guys, I've been talking to Laura LaCicero, and we've been playing with her death deck, which is the ultimate party game. I love it. It's a deck of cards that helps facilitate those difficult conversations surrounding death. She's awesome. The cards are awesome. You can get them at thedeathdeck.com or on Amazon. And keep subscribing to the Butcher Babies channel because we are going to be doing different death talks every Tuesday. And this is really fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and playing with your cards.
of course,
Do you
it's
have any
always a pleasure. I
yeah, did
love
you
it.
want
Thank
to
you.
yeah, any last plugs or anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, well, last plug, of course, for Halloween. Hello, and if you're not having parties in person, which you really shouldn't be doing, although there are Halloween masks involved, but, you can play on Zoom, you
Yeah,
just read the cards.
that's a good
So,
idea too. It's a great
yeah.
idea.
So,
Maybe I'll host a Zoom death deck party one day for all of you guys. This has been so much fun, you guys. Thank you all for hanging out. We're going to be doing this every single Tuesday. And love you all. Thank you for participating. And we'll do it again next week. And thank you so much, Lori. I really appreciate you. And we'll do it again sometime.
always a pleasure. Thanks, Carla.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.